welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Fantasy Football Fridays here with the High Low Sports Podcast. My name is DJ, and today we are going to be talking about some potentially sleeper waiver wire sleepers. Say that 5 times fast that you could find after week one. We are one game down after the Ravens and the Chiefs came literally down to a toe, and we do have another game tonight with the Eagles and the Packers. We're not going to talk too much about there will be a player from one of those teams we'll talk about you want to pick up, but we're looking for guys that we think after week one will either kind of make their mark known or we'll get they're guys you might want to snag before it turns into a race to see who can get them first, especially if you're in a league where there's like you have to pay to pick up waiver wire guys, whoever bids the most for them. So you want to try and get them before they get to that price. And we're gonna go ahead things get things started with number one on the list who could have played last night if he wasn't currently on the pup list. We're going, of course, with Keaton Mitchell, running back for the Ravens, explosive as heck. One of the most explosive running backs in the game when he's healthy, coming off of devastating ACL injury. He's on the pup list, so you can grab him, stash him on the IR, then quickly grab somebody else in the meantime. We're going to take a look here. Some of his stats from last year wasn't too not necessarily eye popping. You see right here, started a little slow, but then once he got into the groove, 20 points per game, 13, a 10, couple of tens, almost 11s, and this is the game he got hurt in, so it could have been even higher there. Some slower games in between, obviously, so you're not necessarily looking to take him as your round one workhorse running back type. However, we saw it last year in limited action how explosive he could be, and then we saw it last night too. Derrick Henry is there. He is King Henry, but it is a committee of running backs. He's not going to it's a very script heavy type of workload for him. When the game's going, when they're running the ball, controlling it, he'll get you your 21 carries, whatever it might be. But in games like this, where it's going to be nip and tuck back and forth, a lot of passing situations, we saw a lot of Justice Hill yesterday. I do think Justice Hill could be a good pickup, but I do think yesterday was maybe not exactly going to be conducive to what we see every game. Once Keaton Mitchell is healthy, what he brings to that offense is explosive nature. You get him the ball in some of those situations, he is flying up the sideline. So grab Keaton Mitchell, stuff him on your IR. Go ahead and wait a little bit. Once he is healthy, he's a flex option that could possibly evolve into one of your starting RB options really easily, especially once he gets integrated into this new offense. Because I think this offense is tailor made for what he's going to bring to the table. All right, next, let's go and take a look at Greg Dortch, the receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. Reason we're going here is we're going to go and scroll on down. Week 10 is when Kyler Murray came back into the fray. And you could kind of see right here 13 points, 11 points, 12 points, 15. So, obviously, same situation, some lower points in there. If he was someone that scored a ton of points, well, we probably wouldn't be having him on the waiver wire right now. That's why we're looking. Marvin Harrison Jr., awesome. I think he's going to be incredible this year. Receiver one. That being said, he is still a rookie, and he is still gonna command a lot of attention. Trey McBride's gonna get a lot of work. Greg Dortch could be someone that you just see him kind of sneak in week to week. Oh, a 13 points here, just a little bit of receptions, moving the chains. 5'7", he's a smaller guy, very quick, very agile. You see here, he made the most of the when he was given his targets for the most part too. 6 for 8, 1 for 3, 7 for 7. There's a couple 2 for 5s, 3 for 9 in there as well. Cardinals are not a very good team last year. I think they're going to be better this year for sure. And I do think he's going to get a lot of the attention is going to go to Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride. Look for Greg Dortch to maybe be a sneaky guy you could plug in your flex and maybe a matchup by matchup basis. At this point, too, it couldn't hurt especially if you're looking for more options in the flex as injuries start to pile up or some guys start to fall off a little bit. Next up, we're going to go with Kimani Vidal, the running back for the Chargers. If he is still out there, he is someone worth taking a flyer on. We don't have any numbers as he is a rookie, so we're going to scroll down and look a little bit at what he did in college. 2 years as a full-time starter playing all 14 games, he combined for over 2,700 yards and over 25 touchdowns. What I really like here is look what he did his senior year as a receiver, 18 catches, 201 yards, 11 yards per reception. Looking at the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, we know what he's going to do. One thing, it's going to be he's going to run that ball. Between J.K. Dobbins, if he can stay healthy, I really hope he can. Gus Edwards, Gus Bus is going to steal some touchdowns. There's a lot of room in between there for Kamani Vidal to get involved as a third down back, a receiving type of back, who can also tote the rock as well. You look at this 297 attempts as senior year, 231 as a junior or sophomore, I guess. But you see it. He gets the workload and he is able to make a lot happen with it. There's a very explosive. and he does have a knack for finding the end zone as well. Justin Herbert, he has Lad McConkey, Joshua Palmer. A lot's been made about the lack of receivers and tight ends. Come on, put it all in the running game. Harbaugh does love using multiple backs. We saw it in college. Corum and Edwards both are absolutely outstanding. We saw when he's in San Francisco. Granted, he had Frank Gore, which made it the ultimate workhorse, tireless wonder that he was. But we still see he's going to use multiple backs and multiple variations. Look for Kamani Vidal. Maybe not right away, but someone who, as the season goes along, he starts to make his mark, makes a play here or there on a screen pass, makes a check down, a third down block. Somebody who, as Harbaugh gets to trust him a little bit, someone you can maybe work into your lineup as he becomes possibly the RB1 for the Chargers. All right. Next up, we're gonna go ahead and switch things over. We're gonna go and pause this one because we have a different idea that we're gonna look at here. We're gonna look at this one's a little bit of a I don't want to say projection because that's gonna make it sound like he doesn't have a lot there, but we're gonna go with De'Ami Brown for the Washington Commanders. I know we see his career stats here, not exactly enthralling. A total of 3 touchdowns, 476 yards, basically what Tyreek Hill does in about 2 to 3 week span. However, let's look at what the Commanders have right now. It is Terry McLaurin and who else at this point? It is literally he is the number one receiver. Everyone's talking about stacking him. I have him on my lineup as well. I think he's gonna get the majority of the targets. The reason I'm thinking about Kamani Brown is we're gonna actually take a little bit of a trip back in time here and take a look at the Arizona Cardinals receiving stats from 2020 when Cliff Kingsbury was the head coach in Arizona with Kyler Murray with DeAndre Hopkins as the number one, who Terry McLaurin I think will do a lot of that role. Let's look a little bit at some of this. The number two receiver, Christian Kirk. Not dynamic numbers by any means, limited targets, had some injuries there. Still got 621 yards, but did find his way into the end zone 6 times as well. Did get involved a little bit in the running game, not a whole lot. He's not necessarily his role. Let's move forward to the 2021 regular season. Now take a look there as well. Receiving, this one, DeAndre Hopkins only played 10 games. Christian Kirk got a lot of fill in there, 103 targets. AJ Green, 92. So looking at it for this Cliff Kingsbury offense, Terry McLaurin is going to be the guy. I think most people are kind of in agreement with that. He's going to be the one we expect to see getting a lot of the targets. Don't be surprised that De'Ami Brown is the one who gets those secondary targets, their receiver too at this point. I know Luke McCaffrey is also there. I think he will get involved. However, I also feel like there's a reason they felt comfortable getting rid of Jahan Dotson. I know the last year he wasn't quite what we had hoped for. I loved Jahan Dotson coming out of Penn State. Thought he had a really good rookie year in limited action, and I do think part of the reason they felt comfortable getting rid of him is they do have De'Ami Brown, who they think can step into that number two role. He does have very big playability, tall, fast receiver. So look for him as I'm not saying give up if you have open spots on the bench or maybe someone that's underperformed, somebody that's not healthy, et cetera, so or you put someone on IR to stash away and you want someone in the meantime. These are guys I think you could look to pick up on the waiver wire who might end up being, I don't want to say league winners because you don't want to predict that when literally only one game has been played. But these are guys I think you stash them on there. You see how they maybe the first week or two, you like the matchups, you get them in the lineup. Maybe they make the difference for you on a week to week basis. But these are some waiver wire potential winners that I have after one game. So this is before week one is even played, guys. You might want to look at trying to pick up or put a claim in for before we even finish up week one. But still got plenty of football left this weekend. I'm excited. Be sure to tune in again next week for Fantasy Football Fridays as we'll go over different guys you could potentially add to your lineup, guys to drop, different sleepers, everything you need for fantasy football every Friday here at the High Low Sports Podcast. We will see you all again next week.